everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Working Remotely Since 2016, where you will learn how our customers are sharing, collaborating, and storing securely with ShareBase. My name is Sarah Rossmiller. I am with the ShareBase sales team here at Highland, and joining me today is Travis Rowe, who is our ShareBase product manager. Really quick agenda for you today. We are going to do a very brief ShareBase introduction, followed by customer success stories. And then I'm going to turn things over to Travis to talk about success driven by integrations before we finish things up with questions and answers. Throughout the presentation, you can submit your questions using the Q&A panel on your screen, and your questions will be answered by some of our Highland staff on the line. So let's get started with a quick ShareBase introduction. We are going to start with a vision statement. Our vision statement for ShareBase has been evolving over the years, but to give you a few facts about it, ShareBase is a cloud-based sharing tool designed by Highland, and it provides that straightforward and secure document sharing and collaboration. So that's the big sharing part about ShareBase in our name. And then, of course, the other important part is that organizations like yourselves that use Highland products, such as OnBase and Perceptive Content, can use those products in conjunction with ShareBase in order to securely share that information. And last but not least, many of you know that Highland has a vertical focus based on our industries, and ShareBase is following suit. So today, a lot of our examples and customer stories that we have for you are broken down by industry so that you can hear exactly what your peers are doing with ShareBase in conjunction with OnBase or Perceptive Content. A few key facts about ShareBase: it is cloud native. ShareBase is hosted in the Highland Cloud. We do have data centers all over the world, so your data will remain where you need it to remain across the world. And the benefit of having a cloud-based product like ShareBase is that we are able to offer continuous delivery of enhancements. You don't have to wait for enhancements with ShareBase. Once Travis's team, who is in charge of the development of those enhancements, when that is ready, we are able to push those out immediately to you, and you do not have to do anything as a ShareBase customer. You might walk into the office the next day and have a brand new feature. ShareBase is a subscription service, so if you are interested in that, just let us know and we will get you signed up for that annual subscription. And Travis is going to talk today more about some of our native Highland product integrations. We're also going to talk about those with our customer success stories, how our customers are using OnBase together with ShareBase, as well as Perceptive Content and ShareBase. So we're going to jump straight into customer success stories because I think those will be the most beneficial for you, hearing how our customers are using ShareBase. We have a list of some of them that we are going to talk about today. Most of these have provided a webinar or case study. So those are available on sharebase.com, and those will be noted on the slides. The slides will be available as well in Community Central for download. So we're going to start with back office because all of our industries have a back office. Our commercial folks, you land in this area too. And as you can see from this list, we have a lot of areas that ShareBase is being used, everything from accounts payable down to W-2 requests. But to highlight a few of these, remote access is a big one that our ShareBase customers have been using ShareBase for since the very beginning in 2016. Field workers, remote workers, such as myself. And then, of course, some office displacement that we've all been experiencing with the pandemic. We have seen a great increase of ShareBase for remote access during this work from home time that many of us have been experiencing. Large file sharing is also a great use for ShareBase for both sharing and receiving. So think of any file that is too large for email. ShareBase would be a perfect fit for sharing or receiving that file. We have a couple of examples here for you. And then we have a couple of solutions where we have coupled OnBase and ShareBase together to make it even easier for you to deploy these solutions. The first one is public records request management, often used by our government and higher education. customers for streamlining the collection of FOIA requests, the Freedom of Information Act, where OnBase can pull all of those appropriate documents together. And then you would utilize ShareBase to be able to share that information securely with the public requester. The other solution that we have is contract management, where we're coupling OnBase and ShareBase together, where you can have your contract in OnBase, in WorkView, really working through that supporting documentation. And when it's ready to send to that external party, you would be using ShareBase to deliver that information so the external party can view and redline the document and send that redline document back to you using a secure link for ShareBase, but your document will actually come to you directly into OnBase because that process has been automated with this solution. Now into some specific customer stories. Omida is the nation's largest business-to-business subscription fulfillment service provider. What does that mean? That means if you are signing up for a subscription, maybe filling out a little card and putting it in the mail, chances are that Omida is probably the one processing that subscription for the organization that you're subscribing to. And they had some limitations with their homegrown system. It was very manual. They really needed a way to automate that process. So they implemented OnBase and ShareBase together in order to reduce those manual touch points and, of course, reduce the errors associated with that because it's all automated with their systems. And they were able to increase their daily volume from 100 batches per day to 400. So some great ROI there. They were expecting to see the ROI for ShareBase in less than 2 years. And of course, take a look at the lower right-hand corner for all of these slides for some great quotes. Next up, we're going to move into government. A lot of government customers using ShareBase. Photos, videos from police officer body cameras, dashboard cameras are really big right now to be able to provide to the district attorney's office. They in turn can provide to the defense attorney's office and the defendant. A lot of use cases for that particular scenario. And office displacement is one very specific to a couple of our government customers, starting with Hurricane Michael, which happened 2 years ago. It was a Category 5 hurricane that hit the panhandle of Florida. Luckily, our ShareBase customer had implemented ShareBase a few weeks before, planning to use it in conjunction with OnBase, but the hurricane took out their courthouse communications, so they were able to use ShareBase to keep their finance office up and running from remote locations after the storm. Similarly, the bomb cyclone snowstorm of March 2019. I don't know if many of you remember this. It was in the Great Plains where multiple feet of snow dropped in March, heavy snow. And this particular customer is located in Nebraska. They were not able to get into the office, but they were able to use ShareBase for their emergency services and staff so that they could continue to operate when they were snowed out of the office. And when they learned that COVID was on the horizon, they increased their users, pushed ShareBase out to an additional 200 users in anticipation of remote working for COVID. This particular customer is joining us on a customer panel session today at 2:45 Eastern, so feel free to join that. Hill County, Texas is really a remote area. Travis and I actually visited them a couple of years ago. Not really close to a lot of places. You really have to drive to get there. And they have staff that aren't always in the office, but they would have to drive to the courthouse to make paper copies of their documents. Of course, not very secure when you're letting that paper go out of the courthouse. So they decided to implement ShareBase. This has eliminated that unnecessary travel. They can access the information anytime from anywhere, no matter where they are. And it keeps an audit trail of all of that information. Who's accessing what and when. And with ShareBase, they can limit that access because not everyone, even if they can log into ShareBase, should have access to everything. So their administrator can keep controls on that. And they can also share outside of the courthouse when they need to. And Horry County, South Carolina started using ShareBase for hurricane disaster relief from FEMA. When they would have a hurricane hit, they would send drones up to get that footage after the storm. They would bring in a web developer to develop a web page and secure logins. It took a lot of time and they didn't have a lot of control. So take a look at the quote, especially the first sentence in that lower right corner. They decided to implement ShareBase. They were able to do it very quickly. It was easy for them to use. They can simply drag and drop that file when they're out in the field into ShareBase and send a secure link to FEMA and everyone who needs it so that they have immediate access. They have since coupled OnBase and ShareBase together for their design and construction department to be able to share large design documents as well as public record requests and a couple of other departments that you see on this list. Now we're going to move to financial services. Audits is, of course, a very big one for ShareBase. Our Highland audit team uses ShareBase to securely share information for audits. But something that happened with this pandemic that we recently experienced is for loans, specifically the Small Business Administration loans, where Congress was releasing Paycheck Protection Program funding. Consumers Credit Union saw an increase of 1,000% increase in applications for loans in just 7 days during the PPP funding. And they decided to use ShareBase to be able to send secure ShareBase links out to their loan requesters so that they could upload their financial documents securely into ShareBase so that the team at Consumers Credit Union could more quickly process those loans to hopefully get their customers to the front of the line for the PPP funding. So it was very easy for them to deploy. They've been using ShareBase for quite some time, so they were very familiar with it. But if you take a look at the results with an 800% increase in usage in 7 days, those are just the links that they were sending. So very impressive numbers for that funding program. We also had another customer using it for the SBA loans for PPP, and that was Idaho Central Credit Union. They did it a little bit differently. They had an Excel spreadsheet where they had 100 staff members that needed to be able to access that information. So they used ShareBase for that. They had been using ShareBase for a long time. For the example you see here for their small dealers to be able to send them information securely. They were really doing it via email before. It was taking a very long time. So they automated that process using OnBase, ShareBase, and a Unity form. And it really is saving them time and money because they don't have as many manual steps. They have eliminated a shared email. They now just work the workflow in OnBase to get the work done. It's simple for the ICCU team to use, as well as their dealers who are receiving that ShareBase link. And they've reduced the time from days to only 15 minutes for that process. In insurance, claims is really the name of the game here. Also sharing confidential information such as policy documents and reports. We do have customers using OnBase, ShareBase, and Guidewire together. If you're not familiar with Guidewire, that is okay. It's not a Highland product. But it is a third-party product that we can use the ShareBase API that is available to be able to integrate between all of those systems. So keep that in mind if you have another system that you might have it in mind for using with ShareBase. Our example for insurance is Wisconsin Reinsurance Corporation. They had a very labor-intensive and time-consuming paper process that they did every month. They had 2 full-time employees gathering documents for 2 full days, printing them out, and then mailing them. So the process would take weeks by the time their reinsurance organization would receive that report. So they decided to use document packaging from OnBase to gather up those reports and then share those reports using ShareBase to their reinsurance organizations. So they're saving labor, time, mailing costs, and they feel that they have better communication and collaboration with both their reinsurance organizations and their customers. So it's really kind of a 3-way collaboration because they did offer ShareBase licenses to these reinsurance organizations, and they are then able to use ShareBase to communicate securely with their customers. So kind of a win-win-win situation there. And in higher education, a lot of uses here, probably the one that comes up the most at first is financial aid, and we have a great example of financial aid for Carleton College. Their issue was that they already had a cloud sharing solution, but it didn't integrate with OnBase. That was a problem for them, so they decided to purchase ShareBase. They're starting their process with a Unity form so that they can send a secure link to a parent or student so that they can upload their financial aid information into ShareBase it automatically moves into OnBase. It was very easy for them to configure. They've been an OnBase user for a long time, so it didn't take them long to set it up. And they have since expanded it to their business office to be able to receive information from their new vendors when they're setting up a new vendor. And with the COVID pandemic, they pushed out a remote reading program for their professors to be able to score and read student papers from home using ShareBase and a scoring form for a Unity form. So great solution there, really easy for them to spin that up as well. And last but not least, we have healthcare. We have quite a few healthcare customers using ShareBase. Some of them are sharing in between clinics. Of course, hospice organizations might have people out in the field. They are using ShareBase mobile app that we have available. But our specific example for you today is Fulton County Health Center. They had a lot of paper-based exchanges. They wanted to make that more digital and easier for their business partners. But they did feel that there were security risks with other cloud-based sharing tools because they didn't know where their data was being stored in the world. With ShareBase being hosted in the Highland Cloud, they were confident that their information would stay in the United States since they are located in the United States. And they have now been able to eliminate those printing and mailing costs. It was really quick and easy for them to learn, as well as for the business partners that they're sharing with to be able to click a ShareBase link and have that instant access to information. So they've really been able to increase those business relationships with each other. So again, check out sharebase.com and check out Community Central for more information on these use cases. And I'm going to turn things over to Travis.
Hello, everyone. As Sarah mentioned, my name is Travis Rowe, and I am the product manager for ShareBase. So very quickly, looking through the agenda on what I'm going to discuss, looking at some of the current capabilities, some new capabilities that we're excited to make available and pretty much announce here, and then quickly talking about what's next and what you can expect. So almost every use case that Sarah highlighted is using OnBase or Perceptive content to interact with ShareBase to securely share or capture content directly from their customers, vendors, and constituents. This is accomplished using integration capabilities built directly into these products, beginning in OnBase 16 and Perceptive Content EP1. And did you know there is no cost associated with these integrations? So if you're on OnBase or Perceptive Content, one of those versions or above, you should be taking advantage of this right now. So diving into it a little bit more on OnBase, beginning in OnBase 16, workflow actions were introduced that an OnBase administrator had the ability to share and capture documents in support of a business process through ShareBase. The available actions allow an OnBase administrator to create a ShareBase folder, add one or many documents to a ShareBase folder, create a secure link, and provide security options on that link, and also delete a ShareBase folder when needed. Additionally, when using ShareBase to capture content from those customers, vendors, or constituents, the OnBase Monitor service is used to sweep the uploaded documents from ShareBase and archive them directly into OnBase with pre-configured document types and keywords applied. All of this is out of the box for our OnBase administrators. Moving over to Perceptive Content, within the Experience client, a button may be added to a screen within the Experience client that will take a document you're viewing and allow you to share it directly with or through ShareBase. Additionally, Perceptive Forms allow you to request to receive documents securely through ShareBase and into Perceptive Content. The Perceptive Integration Server enables the communication between Perceptive Content and ShareBase. Now, both of these options are great, but with ShareBase's continuous release and delivery cycle, we're constantly adding new and valuable capabilities to ShareBase. And so we asked ourselves, how can companies on older versions of OnBase or Perceptive Content take advantage of this? And so on August 27th, we released Highland's first ever publicly available SDK, so software development kit through NuGet, to allow any organization to take advantage of more of ShareBase's capabilities, regardless of the OnBase or Perceptive Content version you may be on. Additionally, for our OnBase organizations, we are providing a library of starter Unity scripts to help accelerate your use of the SDK. Now, I do want to put a disclaimer out there that using the ShareBase SDK in OnBase does require that you have a Unity API license and any API certifications required for using the Unity API. Now, you may be sitting there asking the question, why would I use the SDK rather than the out-of-the-box provided integrations? And that's a totally fair question. So what we found in feedback from our ShareBase subscribers is that while the out-of-the-box integrations are helpful, many of the business processes or requirements dictate more advanced capabilities to provide the right solution. Now, we could add those out-of-the-box integrations, but that would require an upgrade to OnBase or Perceptive content, which may not be feasible. You want to solve those problems now and realize the value as quickly as possible. And the ShareBase SDK provides that today. That's easy for me to say. So here's a few quotes from the organizations that utilize the beta version of our SDK. So here we've got an administrator. They had an initial use case where they wanted to adjust some of the naming that was showing in ShareBase, and they took advantage of it and quickly saw that there was additional opportunities for them to continue to expand their solution by leveraging the software development kit provided for ShareBase. One of our partners, a Highland reseller that helps implement solutions for customers that they support, really liked the Unity script library that we included with this. Allows them to start working faster and understand really how they can build solutions much more quickly. One of those county governments that Sarah had mentioned, they're already familiar with the C# scripting due to OnBase, and so now they're able to work without having to learn all the REST APIs available from ShareBase. And then quickly here at the end, I really want to call out the last sentence here. That the way in which we're delivering this is very new. As I mentioned, very first time Highland has made an SDK available through NuGet. This is very not Highland ShareBase. We're really pushing the envelope with ShareBase. We see how impactful it's been for organizations, and we're really happy to be able to provide this to our subscribers. Now, one of the next items we expect to make available to our subscribers is the ability to capture a document acknowledgement on a document shared through ShareBase and actually ingest it back into OnBase or Perceptive content using the SDK. So for more information on this, as well as understanding more about the SDK, please visit the ShareBase booth within Community Central.
A PowerBrasil é representante oficial Highland. Entre em contato e teremos o prazer de trabalhar junto às suas equipes em busca de oportunidades de inovação. A Power traz o futuro até você. Você encontra essa e muitas outras informações para sua empresa em onbase.com. OnBase, uma plataforma, potencial ilimitado.